sophomore and junior years. Mm-hmm. Nice Catholic girl, white blouse, plaid skirt, saddle shoes. She was very nice, actually. She's a botanist now. See? Nice. I used to walk all the way over to South Carolina Avenue, just on the off chance I might see Jean for a couple of minutes after she finished school. I was seriously smitten. Must have been the saddle shoes. Are you trying to tell me that you're smitten again? Christine laughed. The kids couldn't quite hear us, but they were laughing anyway. I am way beyond smitten. I am smote. Well, that's good, she said, and continued to turn the pink jump rope and smile at her kids, because so am I. And when this case is over, Alex, anything you want, just say the word. Her eyes brightened even more than usual. A weekend away from everything. Maybe at a country inn, but anywhere remote will do just fine. I wanted to hold Christine so much, I wanted to kiss her right there, but that wasn't going to happen in a crowded schoolyard. It's a date, I said. It's a promise. I'll hold you to it. Smoked. That's good. We can try that on our weekend away. Back home, I worked on the Pierce case until supper time. I ate a quick meal of hamburgers and summer squash with Nana and the kids. I took some more heavy heat for being an incurable and unrepentant workaholic. Nana cut me a slice of pie, and I retreated to my room again, well-fed, but deeply unsatisfied. I couldn't help it. I was worried. Thomas Pierce might already have grabbed another victim. He could be performing an autopsy tonight. He could send us a message at any time. I reread the notes I had plastered on my bedroom wall. I felt as if the answer were on the tip of my tongue, and it was driving me crazy. People's lives hung in the balance. He had pierced the heart of Isabella Calais. His apartment in Cambridge was an obsessive shrine to her memory. He had returned home when he went to Point Pleasant Beach. The opportunity to catch him was there, if we were smart enough, if we were as good as he was. What were we missing? The FBI and me. I played more word games with the assortment of clues. He always pierces his victims. I wondered if he was impotent, or had become impotent, unable to have a sexual relationship with Isabella. Mr. Smith operates like a doctor, which Pierce nearly was, which his father and his siblings are. He had failed as a doctor. I went to bed early, around 11, but I couldn't sleep. I guess I just wanted to try and turn the case off. I finally called Christine, and we talked for about an hour. As we talked and I listened to the music of her voice, I couldn't help thinking about Pierce and Isabella Calais. Pierce had loved her, obsessive love. What would happen if I lost Christine now? What happened to Pierce after the murder? Had he gone mad? After I got off the phone, I went back to the case again. For a while, I thought his pattern might have something to do with Homer's Odyssey. He was heading home after a series of tragedies and misfortunes. No, that wasn't it. What the hell was the key to his code? If he wanted to drive all of us mad, it was working. I began to play with the names of the victims, starting with Isabella and ending with Inez. I goes full circle to I. Full circle, circles. I looked at the clock on the desk. It was almost 1:30 in the morning, but I kept at it. I wrote I. Was that something? It could be a start. The personal pronoun I. I tried a few combinations with the letters of the names. I-S-U-R. C-A-D. I-A-D. I stopped after the next three letters. I am you. I stared at the page. I remembered pierced, the obviousness of it, the simplest wordplay. Isabella, Michaela, Ursula. Those were the names of the first three victims, in order. Jesus Christ. I looked at the names of all of the victims, in order of the murders. I looked at the first, the last, and the middle names. I began mixing and matching the names. My heart was pounding. There was something here. Pierce had left us another clue, a series of clues, actually. It was right there in front of us all the time. No one got it, because Smith's crimes appeared to be without any pattern. But Pierce had started that theory himself. I continued to write, using either the first or last or middle names of the victims. It started IMU, then R for Robert, D for Dwyer. Was there a sub-pattern for selecting the name? It could be an arithmetic sequence. There was a pattern to Pierce Smith, after all. His mission began that very first night in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He was insane, but I had caught on to his pattern. It started with his love of wordplay. Thomas Pierce wanted to be caught, but then something changed. He had become ambivalent about his capture. Why? I looked at what I had assembled. Son of a bitch, I muttered. Isn't this something? He has a ritual. Isabella Calais.
I.
Stephanie Michaela Apt.
M.
Ursula Davies.
U.
Robert Michael Neal.
R.
Bridget Dwyer.
D.
Mary Ellen Clark.
E.
Robin Ann Schwartz.
R.
Clark Daniel Ebel.
E.
David Hale.
D.
Isidore Morris.
I.
Teresa Ann Seacrest.
S.
Elizabeth Allison Gugnano.
A.
Barbara Madalena.
B.
Edwin Mueller.
E.
Laurie Garnier.
L.
Louis Levine.
L.
Andrew Clark.
A.
Inspector Drew Cabot.
C.
Dr. Abel Sante.
A.
Simon Lewis Conklin.
L.
Anthony Bruno.
A.
Inez Marquez.
I.
It read, I murdered Isabella Calais. He had made it so easy for us. He was taunting us from the very beginning. Pierce wanted to be stopped, wanted to be caught, so why the hell hadn't he stopped himself? Why had the string of brutal murders gone on and on? I murdered Isabella Calais. The murders were a confession. Maybe Pierce was almost finished. Then what would happen? And who was S? Was it Smith himself? Did S stand for Smith? Would he symbolically murder Smith? Then Smith would disappear forever. I called Kyle Craig and then Sampson, and I told them what I had found. It was past 2 a.m, and neither of them was overjoyed to hear my voice or the news. They didn't know what to do with the word jumble. Neither did I.
I'm not sure what this gives us. What it proves, Alex.
I don't either. Not yet. It does tell us he's going to kill someone with an S in his name.
George Steinbrenner, Strom Thurmond, Sting.
Go back to sleep, I said. My head was doing loops. Sleep wasn't an option for me. I half expected to get another message from Pierce, maybe even that night. He was mocking us. He had been from the beginning. I wanted to get a message to him. Maybe I ought to communicate with Pierce through the newspapers or TV. We needed to get off the defensive and attack instead. I lay in the darkness of my bedroom. Could S be Mr. Smith, I wondered. My head was throbbing. I was past being exhausted. I finally drifted off toward sleep. I was falling off the edge when I grabbed hold. I bolted up in bed. I was wide awake now. S isn't Smith. I knew who S was. Thomas Pierce was in Concord, Massachusetts. Mr. Smith was here, too. I was finally inside his head. Sampson and I were ready on a cozy, picturesque side street near the house of Dr. Martin Straw, the man who had been Isabella's lover. Martin Straw was S in the puzzle. The FBI had a trap set for Pierce at the house. They didn't bring huge numbers of agents this time. They were afraid of tipping off Pierce. Kyle Craig was gun-shy, and he had every reason to be. Or maybe there was something else going on. We waited for the better part of the morning and early afternoon. Concord was a self-contained, somewhat constrained town that seemed to be aging gracefully. The Thoreau and Alcott homes were here somewhere nearby. Every other house seemed to have an historical-looking plaque with a date on it. We waited for Pierce, and then waited some more. The dreaded stakeout in Podunk dragged on and on. Maybe I was wrong about S. A voice finally came over the radio of our car. It was Kyle.
We spotted Pierce. He's here. But something's wrong, Alex. He's headed back toward Route 2. He's not going to Dr. Straw's. He saw something he didn't like.
Sampson looked over at me. I told you he was careful. Good instincts. He's a goddamn Martian, Alex. He spotted something, I said. He's as good as Kyle always said. He knows how the Bureau works, and he saw something. Kyle and his team had wanted to let Pierce enter the Straw house before they took him down. Dr. Straw, his wife, and children had been moved from the place. We needed solid evidence against Pierce, as much as we could get. We could lose the case if we got Thomas Pierce in court without it. We definitely could lose. A message crackled over the shortwave.
He's headed toward Route 2. Something spooked him. He's on the run.
He is a shortwave. He's intercepting us. I grabbed the mic and warned Carl. No more talk on the radio. Pierce is listening. That's how he spotted us. I started the engine and gunned the sedan away from the curb. I pushed the speed up to 60 on heavily populated Lowell Road. We were actually closer to Route 2 than the others. We still might be able to cut Pierce off. A shiny, silver BMW passed us, coming from the opposite direction of the road. The driver sat on her horn as we sped by. I couldn't blame her. 60 was a dangerous speed on the narrow village street. Everything was going crazy again, caroming out of control at the whim of a madman. "There he is," Sampson yelled. Pierce's car was heading into Concord Center, the most congested area of town. He was moving way too fast. We sped past colonial-style houses, then upscale shops, and finally approached Monument Square. I caught glimpses of the townhouse, Concord Inn, and Mason's Hall, then a sign for Route 62, another for Route 2. Our sedan whisked by car after car on the village streets. Brakes screeched around us. Other cars honked, justifiably angry and afraid of the car chase in progress. Sampson was holding his breath, and so was I. There was a joke about black men being pulled over illegally in suburban areas. The DWB violation. Driving while black. We were up to 70 inside the city limits. We had made it in one piece out of the town center, Walden Street, Maine, then back onto Lowell Road, approaching the highway. I whipped around onto Route 2 and nearly spun out of control. The pedal was down to the floor. This is our best chance to get Thomas Pierce, maybe our last chance. Up ahead, Pierce knew this was it too. I was doing close to 90 now on Route 2, passing cars as if they were standing still. Pierce's Thunderbird must have been pushing 85. He'd spotted us early in the chase. "We're catching this squirrely bastard now," Sampson hollered at me. "Pierce goes down." We hit a deep pothole and the car momentarily left the road. We landed with a jarring thud. The wound in my side screamed. My head hurt. Sampson kept hollering in my ear about Pierce going down. I could see his dark Thunderbird bobbing and weaving ahead. Just a couple of car lengths separated us. He's a planner, I warned myself. He knew this might happen. I finally caught up to Pierce and pulled alongside him. Both cars were doing close to 90. Pierce took a quick glance over at us. I felt strangely exhilarated. Adrenaline powered through my body. Maybe we had him. For a second or two, I was as totally insane as Pierce. Pierce saluted with his right hand.
"Dr. Cross,"
he called through the open window.
"we finally meet. I know about the FBI sanction."
Pierce yelled over the whistle and roar of the wind. He looked cool and collected, oblivious to reality.
"Go ahead, Cross. I want you to do it. Take me out, Cross."
"There's no sanction order," I yelled back. "Pull your car over. No one's going to shoot you." Pierce grinned, his best killer smile.
"Why do you think the FBI brought such a small unit? Terminate with prejudice. Ask your friend, Kyle Craig. That's why they wanted me inside Straw's house."
Was I talking to Thomas Pierce, or was this Mr. Smith? Was there a difference anymore? He threw his head back and roared with laughter. It was one of the oddest, craziest things I had ever seen. The look on his face, the body language, his calmness. He was daring us to shoot at him at 90 miles an hour on Route 2 outside Concord, Massachusetts. He wanted to crash and burn. We hit a stretch of highway with thick fir trees on either side. 2 of the FBI cars caught up. They were pinned on Pierce's tail, pushing, taunting him. Had the Bureau come here planning to kill Pierce? If they were going to take him, this was a good place. A secluded pocket away from most commuter traffic and houses. This was the place to terminate Thomas Pierce. Now was the time. "You know what we have to do," Sampson said to me. "He's killed more than 20 people that we know of," I was thinking, trying to rationalize. "He'll never give up." "Pull over," I yelled at Pierce again.
"I murdered Isabella Calais."
He screamed at me. His face was crimson.
"I can't stop myself. I don't want to stop. I like it. I found out I like it, Cross."
Pull the hell over, Sampson's voice boomed. He had his Glock up and aimed at Pierce. You